Hello, everyone. We are here at StashiCast today with Max. Max is the co-founder and the CEO of RayAI. They are offering AI plus human support systems. Max, could you give us a brief introduction of yourself and your business?
Sure. Hi, Gibran. Thanks for having me. As you said, I'm running RayAI, which is a company focused on bringing time and energy back to entrepreneurs that have lost it on the way by being just so busy that it's hard for them to keep focus. And I was in this situation myself, and I know how painful it can be. Together with my co-founder, we took a look at the things that helped us back then when we were building VC-backed. And we realized that systems and software and automations are great. They can definitely give you some time and energy back, but you need a human in the loop, and you need someone to really think deeply about kind of building a support system around you that really gives you focus. And so that's what we did. We are combining humans and AI and systems and software to give entrepreneurs and venture capitalists and other busy people a support system that really helps for them to focus and really get all the admin and busy work out of the way.
All right. So let's get into how did you start this?
Yeah, for sure. So it all started kind of from this very lucky situation that a good friend of mine, who is an amazing operator, who is now my co-founder, Leo, and I were looking to build something new at the same time. So we were looking at a bunch of different areas, but we always came back to that one aspect where we were like, okay, so we are ideating, we want to try out things, we want to focus for 2 days on this one topic, and there's still, our life's still going on, right? There's still like angel investments and like admin stuff, and like we still, have to answer here and do the emails there, and we were sidetracked so much, and we kind of felt like our lives are a little bit too busy to do this focus that was so easy when you were 19 or 20, when there was nothing going on. You could just sit in a room for 5 days straight and nobody would annoy you with anything. And that doesn't happen anymore if you're 30 and if built businesses and invested in some stuff. And we decided, hey, let's get someone from South Africa, a place that we really love, both of us, and we know that some of our friends had assistants there, and we said, let's get someone and help us take care of all the things that we don't want to focus on right now, and basically so we can focus on ideation and maybe we still had a little bit of a consultancy gig going on. So that was the first initial spark to what RayAI has become now. And very quickly after like looking a little bit around and looking at some LinkedIn posts some people did like virtual assisting and stuff, we instantly realized that that's first of all an amazing business, but also a business that's changing a lot or has a potential to change a lot because of AI. But it seemed that incumbents are not really focusing on that. That's where the idea for RayAI started. Why don't we design like the perfect offering that we would love to have and that we also would love to have now? We saw some very successful companies in the US that for our standards weren't focusing enough on AI, on making their assistants AI native as well.
Mm-hmm.
Then we started with this project and realized that we had very different approaches to focusing ourselves. Mine was more through people. I had a chief of staff, founder's associate, and Leo had more of a system, software, tools, productivity hacks approach to it. And we realized, let's put this together and design the perfect support system that every founder should get.
All right. So if I understood it correctly, you started looking for assistants. It wasn't your idea in the beginning to make it a business. You were actually looking for yourselves. And then you realized, this could be a business.
Yeah. I mean, it was quite quick. So we weren't looking for 3 weeks to hire an assistant. And then we said, okay, it's too hard. Like let's make a business out of it. It's more where we would like, hey, let's get someone to help us out in maybe South Africa. And then we're like, wait, let's look actually if it's easy and if there's great offerings out there. And then we, started looking a little bit and the offerings weren't great. And I think it was a quick realization when we made the decision, let's get someone to support us, and then realized maybe it's not just us that needs someone to support us. It's maybe a lot of people.
Nice. I think this is a really, really good move. Like you realized through your own pain that there was a demand for this. And then, okay, maybe this can be a business. I love it. Before I ask you more about business, can you give us your current revenue?
Yeah. I mean, it's changing by the day. I hope another customer signs while we're having this podcast. So, we're pushing like 100K MRR right now.
Wow.
I think that should be signed maybe a little bit more, but we always, we only count ARR when someone's actually matched with the talent and has started working, because the contract is signed a little earlier in the matching process. So signed ARR is maybe 1.0 million or something.
All right, that's really good. Since when? When did you start?
Roughly a year ago. We were still doing some other stuff. We weren't really sure. We still had our consulting. So it was a little bit of a slow moving start. Incorporated in the US, which is not such a big deal as it is in Germany. So no notary, nothing like that.
All right, that is really good for 1 year. In the beginning, how did you validate this idea? Okay, you validate for yourselves, and then how did you validate it with other people? What was your process?
First of all, I think in that sense, we had it a little easy because we actually are the perfect ICP, right? That's basically what you call kind of a little bit like a founder market fit. And that's very high with Leo and me because we both were exactly in that situation where we would have been Ray customers, have a lot of friends that are potential Ray customers. So I would say we have a very good look and good angle on the customer base. And we felt very quickly that what we wanting matches a lot with the need in the market. We also looked a little bit at the US. We have a lot of customers in the EU. We have a lot of customers in the US. And we saw that in the US, especially in San Francisco, this kind of business model that we were looking to do is quite successful. The biggest company is called Athena. And we saw that incredible demand that they got. And we thought, well, there's so many Reddit posts about that they're not good enough. There's so many people that we know that like stopped with their Athenas. And also AI is not mentioned once at the website. This has changed by now, but back then, a year ago, there was no mention of AI on the website. It was almost like they were actively going into the opposite direction and said, our assistants don't work with AI. Don't worry, as if it was a security issue. And we saw that that's not a good move. Now recently they've raised 100 million, I think, to actually make a pivot right into AI and basically go all into that area. But back then, a year ago, they haven't made that decision. And so we saw that this is already working great without supercharging the assistants with AI. So let's do that with supercharging the assistants with AI, and there will be a lot of demand.
Okay, that's really interesting. What was your go-to-market strategies? Because you had to find these assistants and you probably had to train them. I think a lot of people, especially in the beginning, they're like, okay, where do we find our first clients? How do we validate these? How much do we build before validating? What was the sweet spot for you?
You're right. People do it very differently. And I think it always depends on the project that or the problem that you're trying to crack. For us, we basically started to hire someone ourselves. So we went out, we opened a pipeline through a bunch of different job boards in Nairobi, Kenya, and Cape Town, South Africa. Those job markets are very hard, under pressure right now. So there's a lot of talent looking actively for a job. So we got a lot of inbound leads already. You can get thousands of candidates a day. So we got a lot of talent all flowing into our applicant tracking system. And we designed a test. Because we knew there will be a lot of demand for those positions. So there will be a lot of candidates that we have to parse through. And we don't want to go through basic CV screening because CVs, especially if you want someone really smart driven, CV is not really what you are looking for. So we designed a aptitude test, which consisted of cognitive ability, understanding instructions, critical thinking, English, and tech. And we built that ourselves, went through it ourselves, got like a score. So we thought, okay, so if anybody goes like, in the direction of that score, they'll be perfect to work with. The candidates went through that assessment. If people got a good score, they would go into an interview with us. Then we looked at, okay, is that actually a relevant mark or a KPI, the score? And the first test was really bad. We did a lot of interviews with just random people that didn't do the test. And then we did interviews with people that did the test and scored well so that we could see how big is that, how well indicates that the positional fit. And we had to change a little bit. We had to some of the tests, we had to increase the amount it counts, and some tests, we decreased the amount of accounts, and English was something that we kind of only if you scored like almost 100, then we would invite you to an interview. So we played around with that a little bit, and also always tested for false negatives and false positives. Obviously, the test got better and better over a few weeks, and I think at some point we were really able to find it in this test setup that would give us from thousands of applicants just a few, and they had a very high hit rate in the interviews. And then we hired ourselves some Rays to help us build, to assist us, to help us with admin, to help us with a bunch of stuff, and started working with them. Got to know their strengths and weaknesses, and were able to kind of build a better aptitude test, and also integrate some case studies, integrate a round of recruiter interviews, and we're still doing the interviews. The last stage is still us. So it's still my co-founder or I who do the last interview, because we have not found a substitute for that yet. We know it's not going to be scalable forever, but it just is the perfect fail-safe mechanism so that we only hire superstars. My co-founder and I have hired so many people over the years. I hired, maybe, I don't know, 150 to 200 people in my 8 years of building companies, and he'd done the same. So we still have a good intuition about if people can perform or not, and that has shown to be the best filter still. But I just do 5 or 10 a week if the week is super, super busy. Sometimes I just do 2. It really depends.
All right. Then you interviewed a lot of people, then you refined it, and then you came up with some very good people to start working for you, to start being your human.
Our assistants, our Rays, yeah.
Your assistants. And then after you had that in place, then you said, now let's go find other people who also need these, and then let's offer them some of these people that we interviewed.
So we took some time to build the bootcamp, which is focused on cognitive, on how to be high agency, how to communicate well, how to solve the problems that people like us might have every day, how to leverage yourself with AI, how to use AI effectively, what tools are out there, how do you prompt well. So a bunch of stuff that we deemed very important. And that training also proved to be extremely powerful in getting people just to that level. They're very talented when they get accepted here, but like after those 4 weeks, super intense training, it's definitely a long month for them. But if they get through it and they also do the case studies of that bootcamp well, you can be very sure that they will perform well at the customer. And then we had some friends that definitely needed assistance. They were so busy. They had, no free time. They wouldn't answer. Some of our best friends don't answer on WhatsApp anymore. That's a great sign that they need an assistant, because they love you, but they just don't have the time.
Yes.
And so we placed some assistants to some of our friends, got feedback from them. And, the first one that we placed is still the assistant of that guy. And he's doing an amazing job. He's deep into the team, great team member, and has definitely played his part in making that CEO much more effective.
And then after that, you had your friends using it. Then how did you scale it to 1 million? What was your main channel of acquisitions?
The main channel was network. So I still knew a lot of people. I knew a lot of people that know a lot of people. So also, over like second, third step through the network, I went to some conferences, talked to some people, some dinners through, Speed Invest that introduced us to some people. And through my network, I think we got to, let's say 10, 15 customers. And we really focused on these 10, 15 customers that they were super happy. My co-founder did a call with their Rays every week to see how can you do a better job, what is not working out right now. We're very focused on just making those relationships between the Rays and the clients work very smoothly. And we also did a lot, my co-founder hustled so hard through those onboarding processes. So people were really hitting the ground running, and that made them refer us to others. So they basically, we had 1 or 2 that didn't work out because our filters weren't that great, but they were like very understanding, said like, hey, that person is maybe not that great as we thought at the beginning. So maybe I get someone else. And we did that. But many were just instant hits. And I met some people in New York as well that became customers. And also there we just placed amazing people. And from there, people will start to refer us. So they said, hey, I'm just doing an intro here. Person X is looking for support. Can you get them someone? And so this is how it rolled into $1 million AR over a year.
All right. It reminds me of Granola, like the way they did it. And I saw in the interview with their CEO the other day, and he was saying that they started building, and instead of focusing on scaling and getting more customers, they said, okay, no, let's make it perfect for the customers that we already have. And they became so good that their own customers started like recommending them to other people, and it had like this social network effect. So I think this is genius. So I bet that probably the churn is also really low for you. People, after they get it, they do not cancel it, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, for my co-founder, every single churn is too much. Like he always says, no, we have to get better. But if I look at it from a perspective of, let's say, like the CEO or the investor, the churn is great. Definitely, it creates a dynamic where the customer lifetime value is very, very high. So we have very little churn. And the churns that we have are still, those are special situations where, for example, someone has a new PE on board and the PE says cut costs and, you shouldn't pay them 2,800 euros, like cut that. And then, the entrepreneur was like, I'm thinking maybe I just pay it for it myself and stuff. But in the end, we had to cancel that contract. And I think since we knew those, we also know those churns, they are honest with us. They know that we're building something that we want to scale. So they tell us. They also, one time we just placed a bad talent, but most of the time it's very specific situations where I'm not worried, because with so many customers you will have these situations. Even if someone, there might be someone that goes bankrupt, there might be someone that just stops or sells their company or has like suddenly much less to do. There's a bunch of situations where it's not your fault that they're churned. We're totally fine. And then the 1-2 remaining that churned because we didn't do a good job, I think we were very aware and like instantly tried to adjust our offering and mitigate against those potential fuck ups.
And are you still growing through word of mouth and social network?
2 weeks ago, we posted on LinkedIn for the first time. So we didn't even have RayAI as our on the profile of myself and Leo. And we did that. We then last 2 weeks ago, so we launched basically, right? So we said, okay, we kind of build it for friends and friends of friends. And now let's post about it on LinkedIn. We did this post that we hit 1 million ARR and that we are just 2 in the team. And I think that is a little bit of a story that works really very well right now. Building with a small team without VCs and like hitting a certain milestone, I think works very well on LinkedIn right now. So we got 40,000 impressions and I think 450 likes on that and maybe 170 comments. And through that, we generated another 1 million of ARR pipeline. So roughly a little bit over 30 bookings in my calendar. And, I've gone through most of them now over the last 2 weeks, and they were mostly very relevant. So super busy CEOs and VCs that are just on the brink of not being able to handle all the work. And they know that they need support, and they were very interested and thought the offering is great and heard so great things about from other customers. And through that launch, that's kind of the first influx of demand that's not from our network.
Well, so one post on LinkedIn gave you 1 million ARR pipeline.
Yeah, so we have no idea what we're going to convert of that because we don't have any historic data. But as it seems now, I'm estimating 30 to 60%. Like if already quite some people already signed the contract and are in the matching phase. So I'm pretty confident with them. And then some people, had the first call, then didn't answer anymore. So you never know what's going to happen there. Some people are just very busy. So then suddenly like a week later, they come and like, so I'm so sorry. I just didn't have a time. I definitely want to go ahead. So let's see. I think we can convert quite some. I'm definitely happy if we convert over 500K of ARR from those leads.
That is impressive from one post. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Going back a little bit into your business then. So the business model is quite simple. So you have one fixed fee, which is 2,800 per month per human, right?
Yes.
And then which tasks do these assistants do? Do you give them access to your social networks? You can ask them to create content. Do they build the product? They vibe code? What do they do?
Some Rays do some of all of these things that you've said. So we definitely have also Ray like vibe coding at a customer, helping with building MVPs. But we always advise to start with the basics. So you hand over your email inbox so that it's always at zero inbox. It's managed. You hand over your schedule. So you define kind of like the perfect week. So let's say I like to do no lunches on Monday because I want morning to afternoon to kind of like deep work. I would love to go to the gym on Thursday mornings. I love to do the running club on Tuesday in the Tuesday evening. Like you define your perfect week and you have your Ray try to arrange your calendar in a way that you hit those perfect weeks as often as you can. Sometimes obviously it's not going to work because there's a big meeting on Tuesday in Tuesday evening or Thursday morning, so you can't do the thing that you would like to do. But so you hand over your calendar so that they can try to optimize it always. Also, obviously, schedule meetings, move them. We had a lot of scheduling things. So my assistant jumped in and did all that. You hand over all your travel planning. I still choose my own flights, which is I like to go on Google Flights and just see what flights are available and then just screenshot the one that I like and then booking, checking in, changing the flight, all of this stuff should be done by your assistant. Basic accounting, especially in Germany where you have to find receipts, look at those like transactions and find receipts for it, and then maybe even email some vendor, hey, can you send me the receipt? I can't find it, stuff like that. So this basic accounting, those are the ones. So reiterating, email, calendar, accounting, travel should all go as like the first things, because this is where also your to-dos live. And that's also something that then can happen when the Ray has a perfect grip on all these things. They can manage your to-dos. So most to-dos come in through those channels. Maybe you still have WhatsApp where to-dos come in, but there you can just forward. But your Ray has a very good grip on like your busy life and can monitor, document, scrape out all the to-dos, make sure that you do all them, that you don't forget them. So you also hand over basically like your to-do hub wherever it is, on Evernote or on Notion or wherever. So then you have the basics done. And then I think the best way is to then look at like kind of like an E-shape structure where you want a couple of deep integrations into your life through the Ray. For me, it's sales, follow-ups, cleaning the CRM, prepping meetings, prepping interviews with potential customers, finding events I should go to, prepping the events, researching people that are at those events, following up with everybody that I meet at those events, adding them on LinkedIn, all that stuff. I have like a lot of SOPs, a lot of processes that I worked on with my Ray that get kind of delegated in that way. So that's one deeper integration. Then, you can have a deeper integration into finance and accounting when there's a lot, especially if you have a smaller company and you have to do a lot of prep for your tax advisor or something. That's something where they can do all the basic accounting for you. Some people have it in social media, as you said. So access to LinkedIn, writing posts, writing comments, helping you find things to write about, managing your social media. That's also something where you can build amazing processes where your Ray can help a lot. Some people have more of a founder's associate aspect of their relationship with the Ray. So you just do your work and you realize, okay, here's like a 3-hour thing that I should be doing because it's actually not so hard. So you should delegate that to your Ray, right? So maybe it's setting up a new product, a tool, like you're getting a new CRM or something, and you should set it up with build some basic automations, build like a structure. You could give that to your Ray, or where you just every day you have these focus blockers, and sometimes those focus blockers are filled by things that are actually things that it's not only you who could do them. It's definitely delegatable. So those kind of founders associate tasks that are also longer horizon, maybe even take a week, like choose a marketing agency for me. Interview those 10 marketing agencies that people referred me to because I did one LinkedIn post. Talk to all of them. Who seems like, what are the prices? Get the prices from all of them. Find references for all of them. Book calls for me with like the 5 most relevant ones. Then book reference call with customers from them. Like you can imagine how much work this can be, right? So this is what people give to their Rays.
With time, like they learn more and more about your customers, and as you said, they actively do things also. They don't just be there like passively, but they will like maybe come up with events that you should attend, people that you should talk to. Maybe they do some outreach, some outbound for you. So they are actively doing those things as well. They're not just waiting for instructions.
You have to think it's very smart people that we make sure of, because we hire like 0.03% of all the candidates that apply. So the ones that we hire are very, very smart, proactive, motivated, dedicated. They really want to do a great job. They're super hyped to be able to work with a European entrepreneur. Sometimes we have these amazing customers that are like space tech or super high growth AI. And obviously it's amazing to be able to work with entrepreneurs like that. So you have a hyper motivated, very smart person on your side that obviously can be very proactive.
They can use AI in their workflows. So they can do things like maybe set up OpenClaw for customers, or they can set up like NA10 automation or CRM automation, or even vibe codes, a landing page, let's say, things like that.
Yeah, I would say not all Rays have skill sets in those areas, but many do. So we have a lot of ex-developers that don't think that they want to be like a full-time developer anymore, and they transition into something like a role at Ray that obviously can help you very well with these kind of challenges that you just mentioned. We have some that are just super curious about AI, super curious about vibe coding, automation, etc. And I also think that if you're curious about it, you'll be able to do it, because that's it. Claude can explain to you, give you a step-by-step guide on how to set something up. And if you're tenacious enough and if you're interested enough, you'll figure it out. So we have a lot of Rays doing those things, but we also have Rays that are not so technical, and you will be matched with someone that matches your needs. And
okay,
if you have those needs, we will be able to match you with a Ray that can help you vibe code, can help you build automations, can help you build end-to-end automation, stuff like that.
Okay, so like you have Rays with different skills, and
Yeah.
you will match it to the customer. So you have like an interview with the customer, and then you decide, okay, we'll match you with this Ray here. And you already have people on a database. So you vet people before. So you have them ready, waiting for an assignment, let's say.
Yeah, so right now we have so much demand that we don't have talent right now, or basically it's very hard to find, so many talents in that short amount of time, especially because they go through this 4-week training. So we have, let's say, 10 or something, 15 in training right now. And they are getting, they're finished within the next 2 weeks. And so we can match them ongoing. But for example, today I matched a customer, perfect match. I think it's gonna go really well, but the talent is only ready with training in 12 days. So the customer has to wait 2 weeks.
All right. You had the VC route before, and now you're doing this bootstrapped. So you're someone who can tell both routes from experience, which is, I think, very few people who can say that. What is your opinion on this, taking VC or doing everything bootstrapped?
I think you should, when starting a company, think very deeply about that question, because many decisions that you make early on pave the way for either of these paths. You can switch paths, definitely. Much harder to switch from a VC path to a profitability path. Much easier to switch from a bootstrap path to a VC path. However, the highest likelihood of success on either path you have if you start like it and you keep with it and you stay with it and you also end with it, right? Because it just is a very different way of building. The decision on what path is better depends a lot on what you want to achieve as a founder and what is most important to you, and also the problem that you're trying to solve and how is it best solved. If you look at the US, you're only interesting for VCs if you can create a enormous outcome for them. And enormous means nowadays not even $1 billion, like even higher than that, maybe more like 10. So if you can paint a picture of your business being worth multiple billions of dollars, that's when you become interesting for VCs. In Germany, VCs act a little bit more like, PEs, because they also like the smaller outcomes that return them 5, 10x. But especially the US wants you to have that potential to go to multi-billion-dollar outcome. Because if you look at their fund structure, it's very clear that they have to have this outlier outcomes in their fund to return their funds well. If you have no outcomes at, statistically 7, 8, 9 out of 10 companies, then you need the 10th company to return a lot. If your business model and your idea can't go that far, you're always going to have a hard time with VCs. And especially in Germany, they are a little bit more forgiving with that. So you can build a company that, when you look at the vision, can realistically only go to $500 million or something in equity value. And now there's also your own motivation as a founder, right? So it's much easier to make money with bootstrapping, because inherently the outcome that you have to create with a company is much smaller in order for you to earn a lot of money and potentially even be financially independent completely and solve that issue for yourself, than with a VC-backed company, because of the lick prefs. Yeah? So lick prefs are basically the millions and millions of dollars that flow into your company from VCs. They will always get that back before you get a cent. That's called liquidation preferences, and very standard, and you almost never get around that. So when you have your company and you value at 10 million and you raise 2 million, there's already 2 million that you have to get from in an acquisition. And then, you raise at 50 million, you raise another 10. So then you're already at 12 million. And then maybe, you always have to also think that those valuations are very future focused, right? So your company is not going to be, if you have almost no revenue and just a good idea and just a good team, your company is actually not worth 10 million. The VCs give you that valuation because they think in the future you will be worth much more than that. So they can now pay a big premium onto the valuation of the company, because also you will use the 2 million that you're raising to build a lot of equity value. So you don't get that, right? You put it into the company, and the company will use it to then build into that valuation. And so you're building always towards that valuation that the VC gave you, and you're always a little bit behind. And that means you have to grow out of your valuation into a much bigger valuation that is also much greater than the liquidation preference that is ahead of you, in order to make money. Obviously, secondaries can be a great way for founders to make money, but you have to have a lot of hype, and you have to a lot of demand for your shares in order to make money that way. So if you're about financial stability, you want to make money, you don't want to work for anybody else because you're inherently self-motivated and you want to try it, and it's very important for you to have like a good outcome and maybe make a good money, then the likelihood of that happening is much higher when bootstrapping.
All right. What a masterclass in VC and bootstrapping. Yeah. I like it.
Maybe adding to that, but if you're like, I want to change the world, then you will need VCs. There is situations where huge companies have been built without venture capital, but usually you need to move fast. You need to hire the best people. You need to put a lot of money into marketing. You need to put a lot of money into the product, and this will cost a lot, and you want to go super fast. And in order to go super fast, you need a lot of capital. Capital cannot be an issue. Like if you are building a company and you want to change the world, you always have to, as the CEO, you have to give them this group of people that you assembled, you have to give them so much capital that capital is almost never an issue. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So do we want to hire that amazing person that's going to totally move the needle, and they want this crazy, salary? Well, you just have to pay it. And because that's what it takes to really build a product that's a generational business or that's going to completely change something fundamental. And then there's just almost no way. Like the best example against this is maybe, I think it's called RayAI in the US, who, went, like, he bootstrapped to $1 billion of revenue. But that's such an outlier that you cannot use it as a blueprint, I think.
All right. Talking a little bit about, you mentioned Germany, for example, Europe versus US. You live in Germany. Have you ever considered moving to the US to build there? What do you think it's the difference between building here and there?
First of all, like, our company's in the US, right? So we are in the US a lot.
Okay.
My co-founder and I are in New York a lot. We have a US managing director. We are very focused on the US. And I think, also our decision to build the company there got a little bit delayed because there was just so much demand from our network in Germany, so that it kind of like drew us back in. But that's fine. But I think even growing the company from here and maybe from like going from 2 million ARR to like 10 million ARR will be much more focused on the US. If you have the means to do it, and if you have the network, and if it doesn't scare you a lot, then the US is a much better place to build a company. It just is. Like, all the odds tell that same story. And the US is definitely a little bit more hardcore when it comes to their working culture. Obviously, that creates a lot of competition, right? You will go to the US and the founder of the biggest competitor is going to work 80-hour weeks, most definitely. In Germany, probably not. If you feel like you're good enough, it's probably the better choice to build in the US. That being said, there's obviously business models that only work in Europe, or there's business models that have been well established in the US, so it makes more sense to bring them here. And there's a bunch of great companies built in Europe, but generally speaking, it's much better to build in the US.
Okay. You have this business that mainly it merges AI and humans. What do you think about this whole discussion of AI and jobs becoming obsolete and people going out of jobs? How do you see the future?
Yeah, obviously, it's a very hard question.
Yes.
Nobody knows. So here comes my best guess. Yeah. I think AI is as transformational as people say it is. It's a phase shift in the way we work, similar to the Industrial Revolution. But when looking at the Industrial Revolution, and if you try to also like read things that were written that in that time, it feels like a time of enormous opportunity and a lot of optimism. And I think people generally thought in that time they can do anything. There's so many things to do. There's so many new professions. There's so many new opportunities. It seems like people thought it's an amazing time and full of opportunity. And obviously, these kind of times also create an enormous transfer of wealth, from the old power holders and capital holders to people that are able to kind of leapfrog them. So it's chaotic, but I feel it's in general positive, and history has taught us that. If the dynamic plays out as some of the doomsday people say it would, like the amount of productivity that we would need to gain in the relevant fields through AI is so enormously high to create that job loss that people fear, that kind of job loss that really where an economy really struggles. And if you look, there's so many areas that are not knowledge work where AI isn't so powerful. So you would have to, I don't know how many X knowledge work in order to 3X productivity, the whole economy. And that would create the kind of job loss that people are scared of. And that would really create a huge problem. So even if in the most aggressive estimates that I can think of how powerful AI can be, it's hard to justify the fear of this crazy job loss that will really, really hurt us. So there will be a lot of new challenges to solve for people, new things to learn for people, new ways to work. And yeah, I guess it's going to be a huge shift, but I think it's not going to be as dramatic as people think.
Okay. An optimistic view. I like that. So people who are watching, they get less anxiety about it.
Yeah, I mean, on a personal level, like, you should have some anxiety. Like, your job is going to change and you have to figure out how it's going to change, and you have to be that change, or at least you have to go with that change. Otherwise, I'm talking here on a societal level, on a personal level, like, you have to be on your feet right now. You have to really look at what's happening. Even if you feel like AI is not going to come for my job or my area, like, think a couple of times if there's actually nothing that I can do for you. So, and you have to be the one that plays with it and that goes with that change. So then you're safe. Even if your job changes dramatically, then you'll be ready to take on that new kind of job that still requires your skill set, and it still requires your experience, but it will look maybe very differently. But if you just ignore that and you don't want to change and you don't want to learn, then now there's a big chance that you struggle in the future.
Okay. So what would your advice be for people who want to learn more, to get updated on AI?
I think AI is the technology that is learned in a great way by playing with it and being curious. Yes, you can watch those 50 YouTube videos about how to do X, Y, Z. You can read a book, you can do all that. And I think it's, you'll probably get there as well. But the way better way is like take an hour every evening, or, somehow find the time to play around, like download some of these tools, try to do your job with large language models, try to do your job with diffuser models, whatever, your kind of area is. Try to figure out if AI can do the things that you do daily, how they can do it. Ask AI about it as well, right? So it's not like, I mean, what AI also gave us is a great coach, a great teacher, a great way of accessing information. So use that in order to play around, be curious, try some things, maybe some things that are completely different to what you're usually doing. So you can build small apps, you can build websites, you can make art, you can make music now. Maybe you are someone that you're very passionate about music, but you have no idea how to produce or sing or whatever. But you can use your taste now to have a whole full orchestra, a full set of producers to try to create something. And you should play around with whatever interests you and use that kind of natural drive that you have anyways in your hobby or in your interest to get you through that kind of technical aspect of AI, because that will make it much easier. So look at what you love and then try to figure out how to do that with AI.
Okay. And what would your advice be for people who are starting their business or who are thinking about start?
Be really honest about your motivation. Why are you doing this? And then look for the best path to that yields success in what you're motivated by. And I think generally people should be much more honest with what they're motivated by, right? So there's those basic motivators. There's money, there's power, and there's relationships. Yeah. There's a bunch more. It's like a lot of psychological theory behind it, and you should know that, and you should also be honest about what you're motivated by. And if it's money, it's not bad. If it's power, it's not bad. Power, it sounds always like such a bad motivator, but if you actually look at what that means, being motivated by power, it doesn't mean like you're a bad person, doesn't mean like it's actually quite a natural way of living. But you should be clear about what you're motivated by, and then you should optimize the way you are building for that, because it's going to make it much easier, and you're not gonna work against your motivation. You're going to work with your motivation. And if it's money, maybe VC is not the perfect way. So be honest, and then figure out what's gonna be the better path for you.
Okay. What are your lessons from building this business? Like, what would you do? What would you do differently? What would you do more of? What were your lessons learned so far?
I mean, free cash flow is a much, much, much harder thing to create than growth. I mean, it's still like the ultimate KPI. It doesn't matter if you're building with VCs or whatever, at some point you'll get to the point where the company is just there to create free cash flow. In the end, the ultimate goal of every single entrepreneurial endeavor, I think so. And that's very hard. So it's I think generating free cash flow is much harder than growth, especially generating free cash flow that just stays flat. Maybe, you can sell your skill and then it's also free cash flow. But I mean, like, sustained growing free cash flow is very hard.
Scaling.
Yeah. You can do a lot by yourself now. It's incredible. The tools that are out there, and it's not just AI, right? So, I mean, we've had this, SaaS products have become so good. Tools have become so good. Just the things that you can do yourself now is incredible, and you don't need a big team. You just have to be very focused. You have to deploy a lot of time into it. And if you're someone like me who likes to rather build kind of more brands than processes, and more, then get someone that loves building processes, loves like tinkering with things, because that's so powerful right now. I think taste and sales and marketing stuff, it's still as powerful as always, but gets like the one operator that you have by your side that's just gonna figure everything out and like sit there for hours until it works perfectly is I think it's become even more valuable nowadays. So I think that the operator has become even more powerful. So if you're not that person, use it. And if you're not that person, get someone. I mean, one thing that I learned is like sometimes it's very good to build out on the open right from the day one. Like, hey, this is what I'm gonna build, and like this is the problem I'm gonna solve, and like sign up to my wait list, and then like dashing out a product that's almost ready, not even really ready, but you get the feedback and stuff, and you don't go into the wrong direction. But if you have a really, really good idea of how a product should look so people love it, it's also very powerful to not build out in the open and just spend a year and build this perfect product and then go out. I think it's coming back over the last 20 years.
Yes.
It was like go out and like build with your customers and build out the open, get the feedback. But I feel there's just getting to that point where it's feedback ready and stuff. Now it's like a click of a button. Like I could I can sit down for 2 hours, define a product vision, hit one button, Claude Code is going to build quite a nice version of that. That's worth nothing anymore. What's worth a lot is the one thing that's 99% done and great and amazing, and it feels super nice to use. So I think we're actually, somehow I haven't figured it out myself perfectly, but we're coming into an age of perfection, kind of, because that's going to be worth so much more. The 80/20 version that has been reigning supreme for so long now, I think it just is inherently available for everybody right now. And so it's not going to be worth a lot. So the polished, perfect version is going to be much more valuable. And so really think if you should build out in the open, or if you should build, without distractions, without noise, with maybe 10, 15 people that really need that, and you're going to build that with them and like figure everything out. And if you really feel it's perfect, then you go out. Also a great approach right now.
I mean, if you build something really, really good for 10 or 15 people, it's almost guaranteed that there are hundreds more people like those that will also need that product, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and we have a good example with you. And as I said, with Granola, which they just built for 1 year, like every day building without making a big buzz out of it. And then it just became so good that people were just recommending them to their network.
True.
All right.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
it's,
okay.
both sides still work. Like, I think like things like Lovable, they launched quick and like dirty, and it's worked out quite well.
But it's definitely a strategy to have in mind when you start building. Yeah, it's a very good point.
And also think of like who you are. Like, I wouldn't, if you are a perfectionist by and you're like, you should go out early, because you need to get yourself to that point where because otherwise I think you'll spend like 3 years building something, and then if you're ready, it's not even relevant anymore. That's also not good. So you really have to think who you are. I myself, I'm an 80/20 guy. I've always been, and I think I'm going to push myself more into the direction of perfectionism, because I feel like it's getting more powerful right now. So I want to push myself to really get to the 99% and not to the 80%. But I think if you're someone that like naturally strives for the 99%, be careful, because that could mean like you're sitting in your bedroom building forever.
All right. Really good tips. Well, Max, thanks a lot for coming to StashiCast. I really enjoyed our conversation. I think your business is really interesting. I hope everyone also enjoyed it. If you want to say any words for the people who are watching.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting and exciting times, and I think you can do 2 things now. Right now you can like completely hide and do something completely different, and you don't want to be part of this bonanza, which is totally fine. Like, build a cabin in the woods, and it'll be, if that makes you happy, I get it. But the other path is go all in, learn everything, like read everything, watch everything, just like take it all in. Things are moving so fast. You can gain so much momentum so quickly. It's so much fun. Me and my girlfriend, we have trouble sleeping every night, because it's just, we read that new article right before going to bed. Now we have to think about it all night. Yeah. But embrace it, those times can be magical, and it can, maybe you need, one day a week where you don't look at your phone at all right now. It's to calm down, or maybe you start meditating or something to keep you sane. But if you have the means to it, then just embrace it, take it all in, and, join this wild ride of the world, like changing super quickly right now. And you'll be fine. You'll find your new place in it.
Okay, Max, thanks for coming. Cheers, everyone.
Thank you so much for your invite. Bye-bye.